real cock softener. Why don't you take care of my baby brother? Look, his cock went back into the left.
Back into the left. His cock went back into the left.
Back into the left. Oh, Mimi Beardsley, could you eat my ass, Mimi Beardsley? Haven't you done this before, Mimi Beardsley? Worst name ever, Mimi Beardsley. Mimi Beardsley. Oh, Mimi Beardsley. Oh, my dick smells like Mimi Beardsley. Could you eat my ass, Mimi Beardsley? Worst name ever, Mimi Beardsley. Mimi Beardsley. His cock went back into the left. Back into the left. His cock went back
To the left. Back into the left. His cock went back into the left.
back into the left. His cock went back into the left. Back into the left. Oh,
Mimi Beardsley, could you eat my ass, Mimi Beardsley? Have you done this before, Mimi Beardsley? Worst name ever.
Mimi Beardsley. Mimi Beardsley.
Oh, Mimi Beardsley, my dick smells like Mimi Beardsley.
Could you eat my ass, Mimi Beardsley? Worst name ever, Mimi Beardsley.
Right, let's call it a day there. Yeah, not fucking around today. It's too late for me to be playing 20 minutes of songs at the start. Plus, you know, my fucking apparently YouTube's algorithm discovered this channel as a result of my last live stream, and because I got like 1 million notifications, and they've literally put like nearly every video I've made like on, like they've put age restriction on literally. So if any of my subscribers are under the age of 18, you cannot watch any of my videos anymore. You'll have to wait. So I'm glad the Mimi Beardsley song is spreading. You know, the trouble is now is that you're going to be singing that, and you're going to want other people to listen to it. But the problem is they're not going to know what the fuck you're talking about, so you have to play that video for them, which is what I had to do. How am I tonight? Well, tonight I'm fine. This morning, I'm fine. Yeah, I was just thing is, I was looking for someone to like who was up, who, you know, I could have a call with, and no, literally everyone else is busy. Everyone, the entire internet is busy. So I thought, well, you've got to be careful. The mistake I've made, and I've done this many times before, is I sing. I always, you know, I just whenever I'm listening to music, I sing along out loud. I don't give a fuck where I am. And sometimes I have to. And I was singing that in Sainsbury's the other day. You know, I mean, I get funny looks at the best of times. When when I'm singing a normal song. But when I'm just thinking, oh, would you eat my ass, Mimi Beardsley? Particularly, are you fucking any Negroes? Oh, do you have any friends who'll eat my ass? You know, but I ask it, you know. There is a video online of Jim Norton attempting to do that song live, and it's fucking dreadful. And he even says at the start, it's so bad. But I mean, the whole thing's. It doesn't matter how terrible it gets. It's hey hoy, yeah. I'll see how many people turn up to if we get, you know. It doesn't matter how many there are, honestly. He was about to go to bed. Well, now you're obligated to. You are now. Well, yes, because you know. As soon as you posted about the you haven't stopped listening to the Mimi Beardsley song, I'm like, this, she's she's getting mod status. It means nothing in my room because I very rarely, it very rarely has to matter. But am I still making that? Oh God, I'm trying to. It's I can't remember. I haven't added to it. I haven't added to it in a while. The trouble is, I keep every now and again, like I'll remember another video to add to it, and then I won't know whether I've done it or not. Well, the thing about my chat rooms on my live streams is I have one rule. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You can express any opinion. The only point where you become when I'm going to kick you is if you're become like abusive or needlessly hostile. Other than that, you can come in here and say whatever the fuck you want. No, I haven't. Have I thought about dyeing my beard? No. What do you mean I'm smoking again? I never stopped, Spiker Hound. Could you stop? You're already talking shite. Yeah. Generally, I say to people, like, if someone needs kicking, then I will generally, I don't like it when people kick people, without me saying so. That's generally, so if you need to, so if anyone needs kicking, but like I said, it's very rarely comes into. I prefer to bore trolls to death by I've literally had people. The funny thing is that I get people who come in here, who who want to get kicked out, and they'll literally come in here, and they'll say something deliberately, offensive, and then they won't get kicked out, but then they'll automatically log out of that account and then log into another one, and come back thinking that they've been booted when they haven't. Because that's the only way they can feel like they've achieved anything is that to them getting kicked out of a room for being too offensive is like some kind of is like a badge of honor for them. So then they can go and they can then complain about you just kick people out who have a difference of opinion. I'm like, yep, and sounds silly to me. It is silly, mate, but that's the world we live in. I don't even mind when people complain about being banned. What annoys me is when people get banned and then they respond by saying, "You ban anyone who you disagree with." I'm like, no, I banned you because you're a twat. Twitter purging folk couldn't give a shit. I just find it funny that that conservatives are now complaining about losing Twitter followers. I'm just like, you haven't put two and two. Imagine if Twitter announced that they were banning any accounts that were being run by known paedophiles, and you suddenly lost half your followers. You know, wouldn't you? You know, I mean, it's not even the fact that they're losing followers. It's the fact that they expect me to give a shit, and b, that none of them are using this as an opportunity of contemplation or reflection. You know. And it's just them. To be honest, it's just, I don't think we should be even talking about it, because it's just playing into they just want to distract people from talking about anything other than the attempted insurrection and overthrow of the government that happened about a week ago. The dreads and the mask. The masks, they're separate things. The dreadlocks are, it's actually the specific mask and the dreads together. It's a wrestling character called the Fiend. Who's awesome. Plus I just got the dreadlock mask. It's just to trigger the libs. But this is the this is the Fiend mask. Which if you follow me on social media, you might have seen several pictures I've posted of me just out in public wearing this, because I can now, because I've got to wear a mask, Doesn't say anything. It doesn't say you can't wear a full face mask, It just says wear face mask. So what are you going to do? Let me tell you, if you walk around with this mask on, not only are you wearing a face mask, you're also, I find that people tend to adhere to social distancing. Not only do they keep their distance, they tend to sort of increase it by running away. Right. Does my mask scare them? Listen, mate. This is forget carrying a weapon or learning self-defense. If you've got to be out at night and you're worried about you're worried about potentially getting mugged or people hassling you, just get a scary mask. Because whenever I go, I wear the sometimes when I go out longboarding late at night, I wear this. Like I put my hood up and I wear and trust me, people will fuck it. People ain't gonna fuck with you because they're when they see you they'll see a geezer skateboarding in a car park, and then they'll get closer and they'll see this fucking thing go, and they're like that guy's a nutter. You can get Fiend. You can get the leggings that he does. The character the Fiend wears like red and black striped leggings. But there are Fiend. There is one website that does sell. Thing is though, I got this off Etsy. They do sell a mask on the official merchandise, but it's fucking shit. I got this off Etsy. It's much better. You know, does it set horror movie? Not really. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the official merchandise mask is a lot cheaper, but like I said, it's shit. I love Etsy too. Well, the thing is, one of the things I want to do at some point is I want to sort of like start teaching myself how to actually make like silicone masks and stuff like that. You know, because the problem with them is there's so many, there's loads of stuff on there you want to get, but they you know, it's so expensive because obviously it takes a long time. And the problem is, you know, when you're a wrestling fan and a Slipknot fan, you know, there's a lot of masks. Have I considered moving to BitChute? No. Why would I be banned? Dude, why would I be banned? I'll just make another YouTube channel. You know? It's not. I've already got a YouTube channel. This literally is my backup YouTube channel. You know, I'm not moving to BitChute anyway. Have you seen the cunt? BitChute's just full of fucking. I want to go to a place where there's gonna be an audience. You know. No, I've got like I've got like a list of all the stuff I need to get, you know. But the thing is, I don't want to have to set up a shop where I, you know, still though more successful than Vim. Yes, but being more, yeah, but here's the problem. You know, being more successful than VidMe is not a fucking is not an achievement. You know, this is the problem. The problem with like you're at a position where like, you know, being anyone, even if you say you're the second most popular video site on the internet, yeah, but that's like being this. That's, you know, it's like someone saying they're the second best British tennis player. You know, it's not actually, you know, the gap. Was VidMe a flop? Well, the fact that you're asking, if it wasn't, you wouldn't be asking that question, would you? Yeah. You know, this is the. I've lost count of how many other video sites there've been. You know, how many, like, you know, different video sites have been that people have, like, you know, that are going to be, but they never last. Do you know what site deserves some credit though? That is quite remarkable. The Daily Motion. The fact that that is still around is just a fucking miracle. Like, you know, I don't know how it's managed it. Right? All the other websites have fucking. Well, it's like being the, you know, well, actually Facebook, you know, to be honest, Facebook as a, you know, is probably the second most popular site for uploading, you know, videos, because, you know, it does actually get, you know, it does tend to get a lot of views, and plus people can monetize it, you know. Well, no, the reason, do you know what? Here's the thing that people don't realize, and this is a just, and this is because like I said, there's been dozens of attempts of people saying we're leaving YouTube and we're going to go to this site, and they go onto this and they go onto a different site. They are always back within a week. Do you know why? Because for all of the fucking problems that YouTube has, it is still, you know, it is better than every other site out there. You know. And the other problem is none of them are anywhere near as popular. So even if you move to another site, people will then upload videos, but then they'll upload videos on YouTube telling people I've got a new video up on this site. And if you're going to upload a video every time you upload a video onto another site, then what's the point? you might as well just fucking stay on YouTube, because you're still uploading, you're still uploading a video every time you upload one, Is Facebook still a fun? Not really. I never, It's no more than any other website, They're less fussy about to say they're less fussy about it is that's an understatement. It's like, I generally that's generally, actually, to be honest, you could probably find every TV show on every streaming services. Ever consider taking up cycling? No. I'm a longboarder, my friend. That's what I do. That's what I do, motherfucker. And I get more than enough exercise, and with the added risk of at any moment possibly breaking every bone in my body and ending up in traction, My longboard, I don't have any longboarder buddies. I don't, I tell you what I do. I do end up having loads of conversations with random people in the street, like, generally geezers who are my age or a bit older, who used to, who sort of like, who see me carrying a board, and then they sort of chat to you about it. Also, young people, particularly, very young people, younger kids these days, they don't tend to be into skateboarding. They're all into scooters. They love riding scooters. What do you mean introduce them? No. I'm not going to just introduce strangers to fucking, it's none of your damn business. What kind of a weirdo are they going to think I am? Hello, mate. Hello, complete stranger I've never met before. Can I put you on my YouTube channel with, they might, that's No, I'm not even joking, John. That is literally what, the first time I went to a skate park, that is literally what I was like. I was literally that Steve Buscemi. I mean, No, but see, the problem is if you have to tell someone you're famous, Susan, then you've already proven that you're not, aren't you? And you will vouch for me. What the fuck do they care what you think? And also maybe that might put people off even more. Being famous, like I said, being famous is like being good in bed. If you have to keep telling everybody, then you're probably not, are you? By definition, No, no, not really. No, I mean, the thing is, when I've been to I went to a skate park in Corby a couple of months back, which is the biggest skate park in Europe. And I went there, and there were three blokes there who were adult aged, and and that including me, and we were the only ones riding skateboards. All the rest were kids, aged like 14 and under, who were all on scooters. And I've seen plenty. There's plenty of I've seen plenty of people in like their mid to early 20s on skateboards, but you know, but again, but then longboarding and skateboarding are two different things. You know, skateboarding, you know, is skateboarders tend to be doing things like, you know, these are for things like you know, for doing tricks and going off ramps and doing kick flips and ollies and stuff like that. Longboarding isn't like that. You know, longboarding is about, you know, traveling, sort of going long distances, you know, and higher speeds usually. Scooters, what kind? You know, well, the kind with two wheels, and you know. No, I've seen two geezers on BMXs before. You know, that was when I made my first skate park friend. Was this geezer on his BMX, and one of his wheels was coming loose, and I literally pulled out, like, went into my bag and pulled out fucking I literally had like a fucking tool belt in there. It's like a screw. What do you need? Screwdriver, spanner, fucking, you know, socket wrench, fucking, you know, Allen keys. I've got Allen keys coming out of my arse, fucking, you know. I've got more Allen keys than I know to do. I've got drills, fucking, you know, everything. And he was like, oh, you know. So yeah. How long's this show been going? Well, it's bloody. It's that's one of those things when you get older that you'll, you know, you find you end up just having more of, and it's good to have around. Is a couple of Allen keys. I've even got a where. I've even got a little keychain with about 5 or 6 of the bastards on. I don't know, you know, everything from that, everything from, you know, Asian to, you know, Blackzilla, you know. Allen wrenches, yeah. Well, I'm not interested in what you call them in America because, you know, key actually make more sense. A wrench, they're not wrenches, you know. You don't wrench those things, you know. You turn them like a key. So. I'm amazed you've still called them Allen something. Is like America only ever seems to, literally everything, every, you know, the amount of things in America that you do, literally just because it's the opposite of what the you know, the English and the British did, is do you know why America puts its date the wrong? It goes month, day, year rather than day, month, year, because it was different from what we did in this country. Right? It's the same reason. The reason you drive on the right-hand side of the road and not the left-hand side of the road is literally because it was the opposite of what we did. Yeah. We see in this country. The thing is, about in this country, we sort of like we use every system. You know, it's like with It's like with, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, when it comes to like the temperature, you know, the weather. Like, we'll use centigrade, we'll use Celsius and Fahrenheit, depending on whether it's freezing, because, you know, depending on whether it's sub freezing or sub-zero, or whether it's 100 degrees or really hot. Because that sounds better, you know, going from 0 to 100. And You know, we still use, we use pounds and ounces. We use kilos, pounds and ounces depending on. Then we use kilos and ounces depending on how, depending on what we, drug dealers all work in kilos. But if you're going to get a cheeseburger, you get a quarter pounder, But we still measure our weight in stone, which I don't think anyone does. I still want to bring back groats and oxen as a currency. And to be honest with you, the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up doing that. Yeah, but there's a difference. Yeah, but that's the difference. Yeah, but the difference is. Here's the thing. My problem with the American word herb is it just doesn't make any sense. Like there are words that they pronounce the same as us, but they spell them differently, and that's one thing. Like through, they spell it THRU, which actually makes more sense than the way we spell it. But it's the fact that it became, or they'll pronounce things like aluminum rather than aluminium, which is, which you wouldn't pronounce that way, which has to be spelt differently, Yeah, but I've seen it spelt that way, and you can spell it that THRU. I've seen this. The problem with the problem with the OUGH is there are 7 different ways that can be pronounced. Yeah, because there's a fucking H in it. Yeah. I've experienced the lost American in London before, asking you where Leicester Square is. I had one of them once. I had one of them once in Kent when asking me about. I lived in a town called Faversham, and they were asking, "Hey, where's Faversham?" Yes, because but we like doing that. Listen, it's our language. We invented it. Yeah. Look, and as much as Americans, as hard as Americans tried to bastardize the English language, I mean, you ain't got shit on the Australians. They can't even be asked with half the fucking letters. They just put an apostrophe in, and then that's it. There's a fancy bar in Leeds. You realise the term fancy bar in Leeds is. Well, there's people in there with matching shoes. Yeah. Some of them have got all their own teeth. How do you pronounce sixth? Well, sixth. How it's spelled. How else can you pronounce? Leeds is lovely. Yes, it is. Don't talk to me about culture, son. I've been to Leeds. Well, that's a Edinburgh. Right? That's a fucking thing. The Americans, the Edinburgh. It's not even spelt that way. I also don't like how Americans say Van Gogh instead of Van Gogh, or even Van Gogh. But or Glasgow. There's that scene in The Rock, in that film The Rock, where they're looking up Sean Connery, John Mason's, like, they're looking him, you know, they're doing a search on him, and the guy's reading his like record. He was born, and he goes, he was birthplace Glasgow, and he says it like it's like he was born on Jupiter, like it's the weirdest place on earth, like Glasgow, like he was born in Atlantis or something. I love the Harry Enfield Yorkshireman sketch. It's fucking hilarious. What the bloody hell? They've got two words for that. Shite. And the other one, shite. Join up today, you get a free packet of lard. Your father's Dutch. Well, good for him. Yeah. Well, who gives a fuck? It's, you know, they've got bigger. We all know that Russian is just, you know, it's the same as English. You just put the R's the wrong way round. That's all Russian is. Your mother was Albanian. I learned everything I need to know about Albania from that Top Gear episode. Am I longboarding in the morning? Depends. What? Tomorrow morning, or just? I tend to longboard either, you know, very early in the morning or late at night because there's nobody around. But of course, at the moment during lockdown, there's very few people around anyway. Hey, I'm Albanian. Okay, I'm not judging. We've all got issues, mate. You know, Portugal is like, you know, Spain is the unsolved Rubik's Cube of Europe, and Portugal is the last two squares, you know. Right, well, you know, thanks for telling. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I don't know how to pronounce that, and I'm not going to attempt to because I'm never going to use that word. I used to think Albania is where albinos came from. That's how much interest I. I'm on record as saying, why should I learn algebra? I've no intention of ever going there. I was about to answer that question, then I saw Spiker asked it, so I know there's no need to waste my time. Have I had any good food lately? That is the fucking weirdest question. No, I've only been eating flavourless protein-based paste. Some of your relatives, none of your relatives are mafia, mate. If they were, you wouldn't be saying that. Don't I cook for a living? No. I do this for a living. This is literally my job. Have I thought about getting... I learned... No, I had an electric longboard before I rode a normal longboard. Yeah. And it was great, but but at the end of the day, I sort of knew that I'm not really properly longboarding. I'm cheating, you know. So what do I think are the qualities of good small talk? Well, not questions like that. The thing about electric longboards is they're actually, they're a lot safer. I mean, I was riding my electric longboard for about 8-9 months before I started, using a non-electric one, and I never fell off it once. Never had one. Never came off it. Never had one accident. And and I'm, and I figured if that's the case, and it's me, and I'm, I'm custom built to have fucking spectacular accidents and injuries, you know. So like, I figured if I can ride it, if I can ride it without ever having it coming off it, then it's pretty much, Your mother taught English, yeah. Who to though? Mm. I don't know whether I had a Parler account. I know I've got a Gab account, but it literally was under the name at Thunderfoot, and the profile picture was a picture of Davis Serini. But I set it up about 2 years ago and never used the fucking thing. I haven't seen this Grubhub advert now. Well, I mean, Newcastle, the Geordies are what happened when the English and the Scots fuck. That's why they exist on the border. Yeah, it's a natural sort of, cultural barrier of separation. Sargon doesn't have a faux English accent, though. I mean, he's got the kind of English accent that that if you're, you know, that if Americans might, why are Scottish people hot? Because it's freezing up there, any form of temp. Oh, hot as in, I don't know. Have you seen the Proclaimers? You, know, you can't even spell Geordie Spiker Hound. You had a Geordie woman once. All right. Well done. Did you get your penicillin shots afterwards? Do I have a New Year's resolution? No, not really. No. I mean, I was just glad to be one of the few people on Earth who made it to the end of 2020 alive. Awkward moment. I don't know. I have trouble recognizing awkward moments because my family has a sort of genetic predisposition to not being able to. We're not able to recognize things like shame, dignity. These are embarrassment. These are not things that the golden ones. I don't fucking know. Look him up. I don't think the golden one ever was a thing, you know. If you want to top that moment, then watch it. There's a French film called Irreversible. Watch that with your parents. You know, trust me, you'll never fucking you'll never be able to top it. You know. I don't really have a favourite fast food chain. But longest rape scene. Yes, it has. It's not a long rape scene. It literally goes. It's a scene. It goes on for so long. You're sat there going, how long has this been going on for? You know, it goes on for about a fortnight. Is it worth? Oh no, Serbian film is, but Serbian film is pretty much like from start to. Thing is though, Irreversible is a film that, you know, sneaks up on you. You know, it's not. It's not a. You know, it's not a film that exists solely to be horrific. You know, I mean, you're not going to watch a Serbian film without knowing beforehand the content of it. Whereas Irreversible might, you know, I mean, you know, what the most notorious scene in, you know, in Serbian film is the newborn porn scene, and that is halfway through the film. You know, I mean, when you watch a film and the scene that involves a newborn baby being, you know, coming out of a woman and then being raped to death, when that happens and there's 50 minutes still to go, you're like, well, I might as well stick this one through, you know. That was a bad time to join the stream. Well, you say that. You know, I think it was the perfect time. Well, no, this is one of the problems. The only problem I have with a Serbian film is I don't buy the political allegory. You know, thing. You know, the guy who made it claims it is. I'm like, no, mate. You know, just own it. Just say you wanted to make a film that was completely and utterly fucked up, and I'll go with it. Don't give me. Yeah, no, it is a good film. I've never said it's a bad film. It's just you will wish you hadn't watched it. You know, you will literally get to the end and you're like, oh God, I wish I. Oh God, no. I'm just, you know. But the problem is, as soon as you tell people that, there's nothing that will make people want to watch a film more than everyone telling you don't watch it. You know, you know you're going to wish you hadn't watched it. So. And I'm one of the few people who, you know, who managed to get hold of the uncut, the uncensored version, which has got like 7.5 minutes that they cut out of it. You know, the only pleasure and joy that you get from a Serbian film is after you've watched it, is making other people watch it and then watching them watch it. You know, that is the only sort of, you know, positive enjoyment or pleasure you can get from it. You know, and it's not even just, I mean, it's not even the fact that it's you know, it's got that, you know, what happens in it happens. it's the fact that it's, most films, that feature, most horror films or most films of this nature, they tend to leave stuff off screen, or there's stuff to your imagination. A Serbian film doesn't do that. It gets right in there. It goes, look at this thing happening here. Like there is nothing that's held back. No, Two Girls One Cup is just It's just gross porn. It's not even, that's nothing. But this is like, I mean, Christ Almighty. I mean, you could probably do a top 10. You could probably do a top. I'm amazed they haven't done a fucking list video on that on like Watch Mojo. Here are the top 10 rape scenes in a Serbian film. I don't think Two Girls One Cup's quite interesting though, because when you think about it, like the amount of people, like everyone knows what Two Girls One Cup is, and that's quite an incredible thing when you think about like 20 years ago, like the taboo around pornography in general. And yet now we live in a culture where like my mum and dad know what Two Girls One Cup is, and they're in their 70s. If you want to, of course, then you sort of like, then you sort of press them and say, right, now do one guy, one jar. And if you've got the stomach left for it still, 3 men, 1 hammer. I've seen that. I'm not really, I know that channel. I'm not really a fan of that channel. I mean, for me, it's like it's the problem. The problem is, it's like to do a truly disturbing film is actually quite difficult, because for me the best example of one that fails miserably at it is Human Centipede. All three of them, the 3 worst films I've ever seen are all 3 Human Centipede films. In reverse order. Well, to be fair, the 3 guys, 1 hammer thing, that's not really, that was a guy getting murdered. Have I seen Cannibal Holocaust? Yeah. I mean, that, a film with that title, kind of. If you watch a film with that title and you're disgusted, then you deserve everything you get. Yeah, the pig fucker film. Yeah, literally, I think that's literally called the pig fucker film. And I watched that and I just thought it was fucking weird. You know, I thought it was actually quite boring. And I think if you're making a film about a geezer who fucks pigs on his farm and drinks tea made out of bird shit, and you can bore people, you know, everyone is Jono. They weren't at the start of the stream, you know. It can't be that boy. No, it can. Yeah, you'll be amazed at how many things you'd expect to be in. This is my biggest criticism of Mein Kampf. You know, is just how life-threateningly dull it is. You know. I mean, maybe and fair enough, you could say that, mate, that's kind of missing the point, right? Of Surviving R. Kelly's not a film, though, is it? You know, I mean, it's a brilliant documentary. I mean, everyone should watch it. It's incredible, but it's yeah. To be honest, that you know, in the last few years, I've found actually I've enjoyed watching a lot. You know, like documentaries a lot more. I've found, you know, so many more. You know, there's been such a, you know, documentary filmmaking has really come along, and like, you know, you find there are certain, you know, easily some of the most disturbing and upsetting films I've seen in recent years have been documentaries. Um, Abducted in Plain Sight. That is just 90 minutes of like, what the fucking hell am I? Is this what, you know? Or God, I'm trying to think. Tell Me Who I Am. That's bleak as hell. And dear, dear Zachary, literally everybody I know who's ever watched it, it's broken them. Like, I've recommended it to so many people, and I've said, don't look it up. Don't watch any trailers. Just watch this, and within 2 hours later, I get a message saying, I cannot, oh my god, that was the most fucking heartbreaking fucking, and it's just, it's one of those films I wish I had I wish I had recorded myself watching it, because I just, you know, it literally fucking just, it just destroy. If it doesn't break you, you know, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you, because it's just, you know, especially when you consider it wasn't meant to be made. You know, it's just, you can find it on YouTube, mate. You know, just type in Dear Zachary, and you'll find, and don't look anything up about it. Don't go on Wikipedia. Don't read any reviews. Give us a brief summary. No, just go watch it. Yeah. What's it on? Blackfish. There's another one that, particularly if you're someone who loves animals, you know, Blackfish will drive you fucking, will drive you mad. You know. Well, I mean, there are some films that are just like that. There's a great horror film. If you want a good horror film, it's a British horror film called Kill List. And literally, all I was told before is like, don't watch a trailer, don't read any reviews, just go watch this film. Don't fuck with cats is good as well. Yeah, it's definitely disturbing, but I mean, I found it more fascinating than anything. It's the first sort of, because it's the first sort of thing, because I'd seen a couple of shorter videos on that guy. And when you think of the amount of like people who've made the amount of like YouTubers who have made like very long documentary videos about individual YouTubers or individual dramas, and you think, eventually these are going to become subject matters for. Oh, I can watch animal cruelty as like, provide, I mean, Blackfish, it was different. But with Blackfish, I was there cheering at the end when that woman got her fucking, when that SeaWorld trainer got murdered and got her head bitten off. If I'd have been there, I'd have stood up cheering, going, "Brilliant! This is amazing! Can we come back for the afternoon show?" Onision is a fucking Netflix. There's a 10-part Netflix documentary waiting to happen with Onision. Yeah. There was that other one. What was there was that one about that guy? He was that NFL player who murdered, who murdered someone who was fucking, and Hernandez, I think you know. And I don't watch NFL, and I had never heard of the geezer, and I found that really good. I found that fascinating. But if you want my opinion, one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in recent years is called Tickled. Right, just tick. It's fucking amazing. It is 90 minutes, and whatever you think it. Even if you watch the trailer, whatever you think it's going to be, you're wrong. You know, what I mean, it's fucking amazing. You know, literally on the edge of your seat stuff. You know. No, I can watch animal cruelty, but as long as there's some comeuppance for the people responsible, you know, Tickled is insane, and what I love about it is it wasn't a documentary that was planned; it just happened. It wasn't really a sequel; that was more of a follow-up, really, wasn't it? You know, but you can find Tickled online quite easily, you know. Yeah. He got offered a tickle job. Thing is, though, I would kind of love it if I was one of those geezers, because being the position I'm in, she'd be like, "I'm going to ruin your life." I'm like, "Good luck." No one I know gives a fuck. They'll be like, you could share all these videos with my parents. They'll be like, "Yeah, this is yeah." I couldn't do it honestly. It looks. I love the bit though when they're talking about like using tickling in as part of some sort of MMA training. I'm like, I would love that. Can you imagine someone tickling Brock Lesnar? Just it would just be like, and I'm like, I would totally use that fucking defense. I don't give a fuck with it. You can think of me what you will. If it stops me getting my fucking arms broken. Another one I recommend is called "Tell Me Who I Am," just because it's such. I mean, the story is just. I mean, it's really hard to watch. It's really quite upsetting, but it's such a unique story. Basically, it's these two identical twins, and one of them, when he was 18, had a motorbike accident and lost his memory. And the only person when he woke up in hospital, the only person he recognised was his twin brother, and he basically relied on his twin brother to fill in the gaps and explain, sort of get him up to date on what had happened throughout his life, and his twin brother lied to him, and he made out that he had a very it was a very happy childhood, and it turned out that wasn't the case. And then his brother, I won't say what actually happened, but then his brother found out, and they this documentary is them meeting for the first time in about 20-30 years, and it's really fucking it sort of really leaves you with a lot of questions, like saying, well, what would I do? They're whales, they're fucking fish. There's this bloke, so there's this guy from Birmingham fishing in a canal. This guy walks up to him and says, "You caught anything, mate?" He went, "Yes, I caught a fucking whale." He went, "You caught a whale?" He went, "Yeah." "What'd you do with it?" "Threw it back, had no fucking spokes in it." Sounds like, don't say sound, don't honestly, just, that's another one you should watch, Yeah, Stories We Tell is pretty good. Is he more entertaining? Well, I mean, depends whether you are more of a wrestling fan. Well, I mean, as far as I don't find, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not a massive, fan of um, MMA or UFC. Some, I can watch it sometimes, but I mean, obviously, as a wrestling fan, I find, I mean, it's in the name. It's in, oh, the act of killing's fucking, yeah, that is grim. Yeah. Have I seen that? No. Do you know what? I've seen I know the channel you're talking about, and to be honest, I find it a little bit unnecessary and a little bit obsessive, and quite frankly, it's one of the things with a lot of these. It's the case with a lot of these sort of people who these people on the internet who get like who have these dedicated trolls following them. There comes a point when you're like, okay, I find the people who are following this person much more, this person's just someone on the internet, who's a weirdo or a bit odd or or a fucking idiot or whatever, but that's all there. Whereas these people, seem to have this, bizarre obsession with them that I find quite frankly weird. It's like Nick Bravo. He had some. I mean, there's an entire forum dedicated to Nick Bravo. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I made Nick Bravo videos, and the guys are not. But he's you know, I'll never know. Did you find any books when studying the Holocaust? Well, I mean, no, I mean, all the books I read about the Holocaust were either just factual, were sort of just matter of fact. Like I read both volumes of the Holocaust Encyclopedia, or they were generally individual. They were biographical, individual accounts, and then of course I read several books about Holocaust denial. As far as the specific psychology, I mean, there's loads of books out there on that that can teach you about propaganda and and sort of the but I mean, it's you have to. I didn't read any specifically, during the Holocaust, and that was very, that was very specific to the Holocaust. Mein comfy chair. Do I think banning her? No. Well, it wouldn't help her. I've always said I think sort of like I think I think Eugenia Cooney, this is unintentional, but it to me it raises an interesting question about the nature of when is it okay to actually comment on the way on someone else's physical appearance, you know because it seems to me that the sort of idea of shaming someone or talking about someone's it seems to be like it's only people only get bothered by it when you're talking about how overweight someone is, but when you're talking about people who are underweight, then it's perfectly fine to for people to comment and talk about it like it's any of their business. you know you know Deborah Lichtstadt's denial, but yeah, I've read Deborah Lichtstadt's, but well, I read three books about the the David Irving trial. I read David Irving's book, Deborah Lipstadt's book, and I read one from a a neutral, and I read all the court transcripts. Am I worried about Onisions? I'm not worried about Onision. Full stop. I don't think about Onision. I could give a shit about You don't have to read books. Get audiobooks. I tend to read. I tend to get audiobooks now. It's much easier. Lenny Rife. No, I've heard. I know of it, but I haven't watched that. Great thing about audiobook is you can do something else while it's playing, and generally, you can get depending on how long the version is, then it's like 6, 7, 8 hours. It's done. There's also a film called Denial. It's got Timothy Spall as David Irving. But I mean, go on Audible, Doc. I mean, Audible's got it's pretty good value. If you haven't signed up, you can get you get free audiobook. You can get free audiobooks there. But you'll also find them on just Google, or just do a YouTube search, and you'll find audiobooks of it. I do remember I was supposed to. Speaking of. Anyway, I do remember the title of this stream was suggesting that I was gonna read some, because I've been I started reading Ben Shapiro's book called How to Debate Leftists and Destroy Them, and I was 6 pages in before I was like, hold on. I do actually listen to Knowledge Fight every now and again. Isn't that a rivet? No, it's not just. Denial isn't just. The joke is denial isn't just a river that flows for Egypt. If you're going to steal, if you're going to plagiarize, steal Dave Rubin's greatest joke, Robin's book. Well, I haven't finished Shapiro. No, Rubin's book is always going to be worse because, but very few people. The thing about Rubin's book is it's almost so bad that even people who want to defend him really can't, because. But I'm reading this. I'm 6 pages into this Shapiro book, and I'm like, this is the thing that set him up as one of the, as this sort of taken seriously as this conservative. And I'm 6 pages in, going, what the fucking hell is wrong with this is the most. This is the biggest pile of horse. I mean, when you can refute something without looking anything up, I mean, say what you want about Paul Joseph Watson. I've always had to look up stuff. I've always had to fucking, I've at least had to do a Google search to find to conclusively. But when you can refute someone by simply having, a long enough memory to remember, recent events, and not even to a detailed account, just a cursory fucking recollection, Ever read War Corpse's books? No. Nor am I going to, quite frankly. There's... Okay. Okay, I'm going to go through. This is how to debate leftists and destroy them by the mayor of Dry Vagina Town. Right, and I guarantee it will not take long before you're sat there going, ah, oh, okay, how to destroy leftists in debate, as opposed to in the field of combat, by Ben Shapiro. Yeah. How the left wins arguments. Okay, and this is advice, right? Yeah, right. How the left wins arguments. All that matters is victory. That's a message that seems to have been lost among conservatives, who are constantly focused on the virtue of their message, the intellectual honesty of their cause, and the frustration of having nobody care about either. So already in the first paragraph, he's admitting that he doesn't give a shit about how morally superior or morally or ethically superior, or how intellectually honest. He says, don't worry about it. I also love the fact that he lives in this world where those are two things that conservatives really care about. But apparently that's the problem with conservatives in debates, is they just care too damn much about about being consistent, intellectually honest, and right, and morally right. But whereas the left couldn't give a shit about that, but it's because conservatives don't think about how to win that they constantly lose. Well, they fucking got over that fucking hump, didn't they? Take, for example, the election of 2012. Right, now, I know it was nearly 10 years ago now, but I remember the election of 2012. Right. Now, just in case I've had like some kind of, mental breakdown or some sort of, my memory is fucked. Oh, if anyone else can remember the 2012, I want you just to confirm whether or not this bears any resemblance to what you remember seeing or hearing during the 2012 election. Right. Conservatives lost the 2012 election for one blatantly obvious reason. It wasn't just their technology was no good, though the Obama campaign did have an obvious technological advantage. Now, which I don't understand what that means. What technological advantage did the Obama campaign? You couldn't get more robotic than Mitt Romney. Right. What technology did the Obama campaign have? It wasn't just that conservatives did a poor job with the media, although they did. The reason that conservatives lost the 2012 election was garishly simple. Most people in America don't follow politics that closely, which you think would be in a disadvantaged for everyone, What they see about the various candidates are what the candidates say about each other and what the media say about the candidates. So here comes the classic Shapiro argument. So let's assume for a moment that you're a typical American voter. Hold on, I just got to have most of my brain removed, and I've got to put on 400 pounds, and let's assume you're the typical American voter. You care more about Miley Cyrus twerking at the VMAs than you do about the vagaries of Obamacare. Well, I would argue that anyone with a pulse, would care more about that. I don't think anyone does, though. I don't recall there ever being a scenario in which those were the two options. it was either or. It's like, you know, you've either got to choose, like, do you care about Miley Cyrus wiggling her bottom at the MTV Music Awards, or the vagaries of Obamacare? You know, it's not like those were that was it. That was the fucking binary choice there. Anyway, let's assume all you've really seen about the elections is the coverage in the mainstream press and what the candidates said about each other during the debates. What exactly did the candidates say about each other during the debates? Here's what presidential candidate Mitt Romney said about Barack Obama. Barack Obama is not a very good president. He said Barack Obama doesn't do a very good job on the economy. He said that Obama's foreign policy has a lot of holes in it. He said Obama has done a pretty poor job across the board of working in bipartisan fashion. But Romney also added that Barack Obama is a good guy. He's a good family man, a good husband, a man who believes in the basic principles espoused by the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. He is not someone you should be afraid of in any way. Essentially, Romney's campaign slogan was this: Obama, good guy, bad president. Now, whilst I will agree that Mitt Romney's campaign was not really, didn't really run any extremes when it came to negative, you know, I don't, you know, I'm pretty sure it was a, you know, and also, what is wrong with that is also a problem. I mean, imagine that being, you know, what the candidates saying effectively that of each other, and you thinking, well, there's your problem, you know, there's your problem. He's only criticising him as a politician. You know, he's only criticising him in terms of the job he's doing, but also pointing out he is a human being. You know. No, he's not saying that. Listen. Right, this is the bit where I think, you know, I feel he kind of exposes himself, right? And here's what Barack Obama and his surrogates said about Mitt Romney during the election campaign. You ready? Mitt Romney is the worst guy since Mussolini. Mitt Romney is the guy who straps dogs to the top of cars. Mitt Romney is the kind of guy who wants to put y'all back in chains. Mitt Romney is leading a war on women and in fact has compiled a binder full of women that he can then use to prosecute his war. Mitt Romney is the type of guy who would specifically fire an employee so that 5 years later his wife would die of cancer thanks to a lack of health care. Mitt Romney would take his money and put it in an overseas bank account specifically to deprive the American people of money. The Obama campaign slogan, Romney, rich, sexist, racist jackass. Now, all of that might well be true, but I don't seem to recall that. I mean, I definitely don't recall the worst guy since Mussolini. I'm pretty sure I'd have remembered that, you know. I mean, well, no, it's not true. He's not worse than Mussolini. But I mean, I don't recall Obama. You know, I mean, all of those things I'm sure probably were said by some people. But I don't recall Obama specifically. I mean, he's basically strawmanned. I mean, he has strawmanned people who, like, I mean, he's not even arguing against. He's like, you know, he's saying this is what they said, and he's actually creating proper. He's like, you know, embellishing the arguments that were. Now back to the American voter. Let's assume you've been watching this messaging battle, and now you've got two choices. But he ignores the fact that he likes to ignore the fact that he seems to think that people who watch the news, they only pay attention to what the other guy says about them. They don't, you know, he doesn't seem to think that they're paying attention by reading certain newspapers or watching certain news programs. Like that has no impact. Or listen to certain radio stations. That has absolutely no impact, whatsoever. Like that's the only thing people who are, just your average American voter is listening to. Yeah. So you have Barack Obama. Oh, yeah, that's his gay Irish brother, Barack Obama. Not a very good president versus Mitt Romney, the worst guy ever. Who are you going to vote for? Most people would pick nice guy, bad politician over Mussolini. And they did. I mean, we're 6 pages in, and I'm like, that's bollocks, right? That is, right? I mean, if you're the sort of person who doesn't really care or pay much attention to politics, or you pay cursory attention to it, then you're not going to be the kind of person. There is no way anybody who would choose to read this bigoted, nasally voiced Jewish munchkins fucking book, who would not know that that's bullshit. The exit polls showed that on the major issues of the day, Americans agreed with Mitt Romney. They didn't like Obama's record on jobs, the economy, Obamacare. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that just because they didn't like them, even if that's true, it doesn't mean that they liked Romney's, because they might have disliked Romney's more. But when it came to the key question, which candidate cares more about people like me, Romney got blown out, 81% to 18%. Now that's not because Barack Obama is a warm, fuzzy guy. Because, one thing Ben Shapiro knows about, it's warm and fuzzy. Yeah. Even those who surround Barack Obama all day describe him as a cold fish. Yeah, at least he's a wet one, Ben. Obama is not someone who will bring over a bowl of chicken soup when you have the flu. Do you know what? I've had the flu loads of times. Do you know how many of my neighbours have brought chicken soup round? None of them. It doesn't mean they're bad people. But fuck you, Obama. Unless you're going to be the kind of motherfucker who is over here with chicken soup when I'm ill, even though I'm not your responsibility whatsoever. Yet somehow he was considered the more empathetic of the two candidates. Maybe it's because Mitt Romney was caught literally on fucking camera talking to a bunch of cunts in what he thought was a private setting, talking about how these, the 47% who scrounge and fucking, who literally are just, who are literally just claiming fucking some kind of government support because they're lazy fucking, and maybe it's because he had all the charisma of a fucking, of a piece of a stale McVitie's digestive, Why? Because Romney was perceived to be so darn mean. I think Romney's problem was that he was just, he just has no charisma. Certainly not compared to Barack Obama. And he kept doing stupid things and making himself look, like a bad statesman. Like when he came over to the UK and literally made a complete and utter prick of himself for no reason. Like he didn't need to do it. he was asked about, do you think the Olympics are going to go ahead? And he was like, oh, I'm not too sure about that. The security looks a bit fucking iffy. I'm not sure these limey fucktards are going to pull this one off. You know, stuff like that. You know. No wonder the left seeks to avoid political debate at all costs. See, do you hear that? The left seeks to avoid political debate at all costs. Even though this entire book is literally called How to Debate the Left. Like, first thing, presumably, is tie them down. Right? Why bother? Members of the left are not interested in having a debate about policy. They are not interested in debating what is right and wrong for the country. Well, neither are you, as you said in the opening paragraph. You said winning is what matters, not intellectual honesty or the virtues of your arguments. They are interested in debating you personally. That's because you are a fucking incredibly easy person to hate, Ben. You know, you're an incredibly unlikable little weaselly shit of a human being. You know, they are interested in castigating you as a nasty human being. Well, I think that matters in politics. You know, I'm sorry. I think policy and issues are important, but I also think the nature of a human being is important as well, because that comes down to a question of trust. You know, some geezer might be on stage saying all of the right things, but if he turns up to the debate covered in children's blood, then I think I should be able to take that into account. This is what makes leftists. Notice he's defining this as what makes leftist, and none of the things that he's cited so far have got anything to do with policy or issues. It's all about character and personality. I mean, he's literally just done exactly the same thing that he said that is all we do. You know, I haven't heard a single fucking, you know, point of view being fucking criticised yet. But that is what makes a leftist a leftist. An unearned sense of moral superiority over you. Ben, you know, I mean, it's not my fault, Ben, that you feel inferior to. I mean, you are in so many ways, you know, not just morally, but, you know. And if they can instill a sense of moral superiority in others by making you the bad guy, they will. Well, don't be such a fucking prick then. Don't be so inherently bad. You know, if it wasn't for the fact you were if it wasn't so easy to make you lot look bad by simply pointing out the things you've said and done in an accurate way, you know. People on the left are taught from childhood that they are better than conservatives. Okay, nobody is taught. I mean, they might be taught that they're better than conservatives, but they're not taught that. How about this? How about maybe they're just taught to be better people and they happen to grow up to be not conservative, let's put it that way. It makes them feel good to hate conservatives. Yeah, well, okay. I don't see why that's a bad thing. And that hatred is justified because, after all, conservatives are bigots. Yes, right on. See, now he's cooking, right? You know. This is why it's so comfortable to be on the left. That unearned sense of, you know, it's not. You say it's unearned, but you know, don't you believe in, like, you know, that you get what you deserve? And you know, aren't you that kind of conservative? Like, you know, if you're poor, it's because there's something wrong with you. If you know, if you're rich, you know. Unearned because folks on the left haven't done anything positive for decades. Okay. Coming from you, though, Ben, you know, I mean, that's perfectly... What was the last positive thing? The only positive things Ben Shapiro has done is make a cunt of himself. And, you know, he's said something really embarrassing and fucking... and self-owning on Twitter and become a, you know, a figure of mockery. That's it. And be very short whilst doing it, you know. The college student's sense of moral righteousness doesn't come from achievement. It comes from believing that you're a bad person. Yeah, but isn't that by default your fault then? You know, I mean, whether I believe I'm superior because I'm actually, you know, I've worked hard to be better than you, or because I just am by default because you are such a worthless piece of fucking toe jam. Doesn't that, you know, does it, what's the difference, you know? You are a racist and sexist. They are not. Yeah. Yeah. That makes them good. Even if they don't give charity, have never met a black person, stand up for policies that impoverish minority communities across the United States. Have you done any of these things? No. And enable America haters around the globe. Right, I want a list of how many policies that help impoverished minority communities have you fucking advocated? Because I'm willing to bet I could count them on a thalidomide's closed fist. And I think you'll find that you know, we don't need, you know, as someone who's not American, I think you'll find that, you know, I hate to break this to you, but most people who hate America have been able to do it on their own without much encouragement. It doesn't matter if if they pointed out a KKK member to you, you'd run across. See, this is a straw man people always do whenever they want to prove they're not racist. They immediately go to, they immediately they try and make out like, oh, what? So I'm a KKK member. It's like, no, because the KKK is not the only fucking thing that it ever exists that is racist. But they're trying to fucking. That's sort of like that's kind of like a, you know, it's like a straw man, effectively. They're taking the most extreme minority version of a you know, like you can be a racist and just be, you know, casual, you know, just, you know, you could be a passive racist, you know, or you could be a guy who once said that, you know, the difference between Israelis and Arabs is Arabs, you know, like to bomb shit and live in their own sewage. you know, or you could be the guy who sat there and tried to, spent a great deal and wrote a great deal of material trying to demonize Trayvon Martin, after he'd been shot, because that, yeah, I'm morally superior to that guy, Calling you a racist and sexist, a bigot and a homophobe gives them a sense of satisfaction. Yeah. I mean, yeah, pointing out factual realities about people, pointing at an arsehole and going, they're an arsehole, is quite satisfying. Even if they never help a single individual human being. Why do I have to? Apparently I have to. So I can't just point. So my opinion of somebody is immediately invalid if I have never done anything else. Like if I don't donate to charity. Well, Ben, what if I do? Let's say for argument's sake, I do actually. I give money to. I always give money to homeless people. I always, I donate money to charity. I actually, do stuff other than just point at people on the internet. Does that mean that I'm allowed to? This is a bully tactic. When someone calls you a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe because you happen to disagree with them, yes, I mean in a way that is, overtly racist, sexist, bigoted, and homophobic. Yeah, about tax policy. Nobody has ever called somebody a racist, sexist, bigot, or a homophobe because they disagree on tax policy, right? This idea that you call anyone who disagrees with, like, if the only disagreement you had with me was on how many times do you think the bin men should come and collect your rubbish a week, like, I'm not going to call you a bigot. No one has ever done that. Yeah. Just you happen to disagree with them on tax policy or same-sex marriage. Yeah. If you think that if you're against same-sex marriage, then yes, you're a homophobe. Or abortion. Yeah. I think Yes, I think because those are two issues where you think your religious beliefs should be made legislation, should be legislated against people who may not necessarily believe in the same God as you. And if there is a God and it's the one you believe in, then send me to hell, and I will happily stay there. When someone slanders you because you happen to disagree, I love the way he says happen to disagree with them. Nobody happens to disagree with someone. If there's a political issue, if there's a political issue and you have a strong opinion one way or another, you don't just happen to have that opinion. There's generally a very, very strong reason. In Ben's case, it's because he believes that's what God wants. And I think that's quite a fuck. That's not a happen. That's something that just happens, is it? You happen to disagree with them about global warming or the government shutdown. That's bullying. Yes, bully. Do you know what? I will bully the shit out of you. I would happily have you bullied senseless. I would have your underwear waistband pulled up over your head and have your head flushed down the toilet and have you picked on and driven fucking insane with bullying if it in some way was better for the environment, Remember, these are the same people who talk about the left having a victim mentality. These are the same people who say that, who like to tell gay people and black people and people who are transgender that, you know, oh, you don't have, like, you know, you don't have life, you know, life isn't that hard for you, you know, you don't have problems, you know, like, they're all making it up, you know. When someone labels you a bad human being because they disagree with you, they are bullying you. Yeah. Or maybe, Ben, there's an alternative to that, which is that you are a bad human being. They are attacking your character without justification. Who says I need it? That's nasty. In fact, it makes them nasty. Okay. Ooh, no. Ben thinks we're nasty. Oh, you're so nasty. We're only halfway through page 6. Well, that's the thing. We might not have justification in his eyes, but funnily enough, I wipe a monkey's ass with what he fucking thinks. You know. The next chapter, the institutional takeover. Does it matter? The leftist bullies have taken over the major institutions of the United States. The university system has been monopolised by a group of folks who believe that it's no longer worthwhile debating the evidence on tax rates, or whether your obsession with tax rates, like as if that's a fucking, as if what the issues you're talking about are in any way. Yes, all I hear are people fucking who want to have debates about taxation, and they can't get, you know, or whether the Laffer curve is right. I have no idea what that is, and you know what? I don't care. And in fact, I'm going to make no effort to learn. Or whether Keynesian policy, or whether Keynesian policies actually promote economic growth. Did it ever occur to you, Ben, that maybe a reason a lot of these things are not debated is because they've been debated and it's pretty much been shown that they're a fucking waste of time? You know, do you think that might be another reason? You know, do we have to debate everything all the time? You know, or are there some issues we can we not just sit here and say, do you know what? No. We've been here, done that. This has been discussed in every which way but loose. And not once if a subject has been debated through up and down in every which way for fucking decades or even centuries, and we always end up coming to the conclusion as to one side being wrong, then can we not say, fuck this conversation? You know, let's move on. You're welcome. You know, you are fully entitled to carry on believing it, but until you come up with a fucking much better argument than the one that everyone else has come up with, until then, we're not talking about it, you know. What they don't want to debate those issues. What they want to teach instead is you are. See, he's fucking. Here's a tip, Ben. Fucking. Here's a little tip for you. Get a fucking spell checker. Because you've got an extra is here. What they want to teach instead is that you are personally ignorant, bigoted, corrupt, and mean if you disagree with them. Well, I mean, what's wrong with personally? Why is personal? What's the opposite of personal? General, wouldn't it? So, you know, so yeah, personally, yeah. as an individual, you are, because that's... Their opinions are not opinions, they are fact. Yes, actually, sometimes, well, let's be honest, opinions, Ben, are pretty much, have to be based on what we factually know. Aren't we? You're entitled to hold whatever view you want, but unfortunately, you need facts to back them up. It depends what the definition of is, yeah. You're welcome to believe that that AIDS is God's punishment for us tolerating homosexuality, but that's never going to be a fact. The facts suggest otherwise. And even if that was the case, what you're saying is that God saw people in the West tolerating, becoming more tolerant of homosexuals, and he decided the best punishment was to create an incurable disease that would kill half of Africa. And I'm supposed to be impressed by that. Yeah. Oh no, he realises it. He just doesn't give a shit. This is the hallmark of being stuck inside a bubble. Like, you literally could be stuck in You could fit in one of those. You could fit in a fucking a space hopper. The people who occupy the professoriate. I don't even know this word. Professor whatever. Have not had to work a real job. You want to talk about working a real job? A job with real world consequences. Oh yes, as we know, being a teacher has got no real world consequences. Please tell me about your time working in a factory or a warehouse and driving a forklift and being a fucking garbage man or a postman, or working being a KP in a kitchen, right? Please tell me about it, you fucking... Don't come over all... You're not the Artful Dodger. You're not fucking... You ain't Oliver Twist, bruv. And if my political views don't make me superior to you, then I can tell you this, the dirt under my fingernails certainly makes my soul a lot purer than yours. They've lived on a campus where everyone agrees with them, convincing them that their beliefs are universally held. Bearing in mind, this is a guy who makes who part of his whole shtick is going to universities and arguing with university students, thus disproving everything he's saying here. Anyone who disagrees is a flat earther. At least you're not a flat earther. At least you'd be fucking amusing then. Anyone who disagrees is a monster. You are a monster. You're a fucking monster. You're a boglin at best. You're a gremlin, right? You're a fucking you're Dobby you're an evil version of Dobby the house elf at best. They used to call this Pauline Kael syndrome. Right, well, I'm going to call this Ben Shapiro syndrome. It's where talking very quickly and with a very stern expression is somehow a substitute for actually knowing shit. Pauline Kael used to be a columnist for The New Yorker back in 1972, writing about the George McGovern Richard Nixon landslide election. She famously observed, "I live in a rather special world. I only know one person who voted for Nixon. Where they are, I don't know. They're outside my ken. But who's ken? But sometimes when I'm in a theatre, I can feel them." She could feel the evil rolling off these people. She never said that. You know, and I'm willing to bet Pauline Kael syndrome is barely a thing. It's not even a syndrome, right? At the university level, you know, bearing in mind Ben went to Harvard Law School, you know, so obviously that proves it. You know, at the university level, this perspective is commonplace. And that leads to ideological discrimination. This is a guy who literally admits he has no friends who are leftists. Like that's it. He literally says you don't have to be you know, the only reason to be, you know, to speak to a leftist is to destroy them in a debate. He's literally said that. I bet even his imaginary friends used to pick on him. Right. That discrimination generally doesn't manifest as purposefully giving conservatives bad grades. Most professors try to stay away from that. Oh, what? So you know, you're saying they treat people fairly, regardless of your politics, as long as you put the right answers down. Yeah, what a bunch of monsters these people are. And do not attempt to destroy people in the classroom, except for a few not that rare exceptions. Professors will, however, grade conservative perspectives down unconsciously. Ah, of course! It's not that conservatives are thick or don't know what they're talking about, right? Or are incapable of not letting their fucking political bias fucking bleed into the fucking facts. No, it's because fucking professors are unconsciously giving you lower grades. Of course, it's instinctive. They just naturally do it. They want to write 93% passing grade, but they just can't fucking, you know. I mean, have you ever heard such unfucking mitigated fucking horseshit in your life? Because they believe those perspectives are wrong. And the people who advocate them for them are bad. No, that's you fucking projecting that. They might believe they're wrong, but they might very well be wrong. You know? Again, this is a guy who went to Harvard Law School and got a, you know, and is a lawyer, graduated. So how he slipped through the system, I don't know. That's why when I was in college, I wrote like a communist on my tests. Of course you did, Ben. Because Harvard Law School, I bet, has got loads of fucking questions. I bet there's so much, it's so useful when you're at Harvard Law School to think and behave and write down things like a communist, isn't it? I wrote... I would put my student ID number on my blue books. Don't know what they are. And I was now indistinguishable from a member of the Spartacus Club. Don't know what the fuck that is. I recommend this strategy for all conservative students at liberal organisations and liberal universities, aka all of them apparently. Right. There's no reason to sacrifice your grades because the professor's a jerk. What he's basically saying there is he wrote down what he wrote down the correct answers at university and then left, even though he didn't believe in them. Right? That's fine. Right? So you're playing the... So here's a question. What right do you have to complain about a system with a political bias if all you're going to do fucking, you know, is capitulate and give in to it. You know, at the end of the day, you can complain about an unfair system, but if you're never going to do anything about it, and in fact you're saying just bend over, take it up the arse, and play fucking ball with it, you've got no fucking. What the fuck are you moaning about? You know. This sort of bullying. It's bullying. Isn't just present. Oh, that's bullying apparently. This is bullying. Giving conservatives lower grades is bullying. It has taken over the media wholesale. Yes, the media wholesale is communist. Right?